visiting mechanical ball, and I live in Long Beach. And I'd like to give you a little bit of history of my perception of these board members as a member of the public. There have been 3 regular attendees for a number of years. Myself for about 10 years, Mrs. Florence Wilson, who's sitting in the front row, for about 5 or 6 years, and Raina Akers for about 13 years. And I think everybody who's been here for that amount of time can confirm that. During my first 6 or 7 years, what I openly witnessed was a board and a meeting situation that was very, very hostile to the public. And it was very uncomfortable for the public on many occasions. And one board meeting really stands out in my mind. At that particular board meeting, there was a request from the public to televise board meetings. And instead of discussing it or even entertaining the idea, that particular person who stood up, like I'm standing up right now, was met with a tirade of ridicule and public denouncement and basically just squashed like a bug under someone's foot. It was really, really offensive and really sad to watch. At that same board meeting, there was a student board member, just like yourself sitting in that chair, who broke down in tears and exclaimed that the board was not representing students. And that was so profound to me and so sad to me. I'm a high school teacher, that this student over 1 year's period of time felt that they were not being represented or the students weren't being represented. At that particular meeting, I decided there and then that I would personally bring in a video camera and start televising board meetings. It was met with a lot of opposition by the board itself and by the district for a multitude of reasons, but I had California law on my side, and I brought in a video camera from that point on for about 1.5 years, just like this gentleman's doing tonight. I was told to stand back by the back door. Obviously, it's very difficult at best to record from that particular position when you have people walking in and out of that door. It slams. I don't know if you're aware of that, but it made it almost impossible. I was told that I was not allowed to plug into the public system, which meant that my sound was terrible. But in spite of all that, the city of Lakewood proceeded to put my videotapes on air every single time you guys had a board meeting. And I did that, like I said, for about 1.5 years until I began a administrative program at UCI that conflicted with my particular schedule, and I couldn't continue to do that. I also noticed that this gentleman's allowed to plug into the electricity, and one of the things I was told is that I would take too much juice to do that, and it would cost the district too much. So thank you for allowing him to do that. I don't know who you are, but I'm glad you're here. Now, since that time, the moment I walked in with that camera, the whole atmosphere changed, literally changed. People were much nicer. Obviously, if you're on camera, you're not going to be the same way you're going to be if you don't have a camera recording your every move. But it was immediately a different tone from that day forward, and people were much nicer to the public, and I never saw a public tirade like I had witnessed that one night from that point on. We also had records for the press. Bill Pearl's here tonight covering the meeting, that we could give accurate records of what was said and what occurred in the meeting, so that was really helpful as well. Since that time, we've had a complete turnover in the board, except for Mary, of course, who's always been very cordial and very nice, and we've had Chris come into his position as well. Those 2 factors were significant in the public tone and the way the public was greeted and public comment was met, and that was a very important thing, and I want to acknowledge that every person sitting in front of me right now, and prior members as well, including Chris, have been very, very welcoming, and we have never felt since that time the same open hostility that we did prior. But I think you should be aware that it was a very hostile situation for many years, and I think that Raina certainly could confirm that, and many of you sitting here would probably feel that as well. With all that being said, I want to talk about why this is so important